You were just mentioning about few of the areas, or say, quarter one I have the minutes of meeting going into the tool, and quarter two some other. So you were talking about having that as a product side of it or ops side of it, and then you have the customer success as such. The CSMs talking to the customers. So how do we differentiate
Sorry, can
between?
you speak a little louder or somehow I'm not hearing it?
Yeah, I'll just get to the point directly. So how do I differentiate between the customer success for product as versus to service? Like a few of the companies, there was a trend when company used to, keep the product arm separate from the services, right? But right now it is more so techno-functional, where you have your own products and then you run services, SaaS over it. So how do I differentiate the customer success division between the product and the services?
Yeah. Tell what we did. Okay, so initially we evolved from similarly in customer success team. We used to do a lot of, I would say, heavy lifting of the services component. So our product used to be a platform where there was a lot of content creation that was required, and we knew that if there is not enough content that is not created, and then they will not see value. If they don't see value, eventually they will churn, right? So that's the thing. So and there is a lot of resistance on content creation. As we onboard people were not creating the content that we think they should, and the reality is the people who are using our product, it's not their full-time job to be on your tool. They have another set of so many other competing priorities, which is asking for their time, right? So we did learn in the customer success what is very repeatedly asked. What are some of the things that we had to do for them? Eventually, we started packaging professional services component, where we said that, hey, and we did not even have a professional services unit at that time. Okay, it was just on the mind. We are just pitching, telling that, hey, we have 80 hours packed. You can buy it. We'll create content for you. Okay, and what we were doing was our customer success manager was creating it. Okay, so we made some deals around that, and then we said that, hey, there is a market for it. There are people who are willing to pay for it. Right? So then we started building a team around that, and eventually now I guess that is almost 20 to 30% of the revenue of. So at first, I don't think you should just worry about trying to say that what is services and so on from the customer standpoint. What is very repeatedly asked and which they find it valuable. And then if you can sell it, then you have a line of revenue. Then you can start hiring people. You can start making a practices that becomes a separate P&L unit. Right? So I mean that's how we did it. I'm not sure if it's the right approach or the wrong. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question. Is it how does customer success vary for a services versus a product company? Is okay. So I think the concept of customer success, I believe, is pretty much the same, right? Like regardless of your offering, the customer success stands for delivering value based on your customer's business outcomes, right? And thereby ensuring retention. Now, how you do that from a product company is when you're selling, for example, let's say software versus a software development company, right? One services, one product. So in product, it's I think one core difference that I've seen is we have all of the data with us as a product company, right? Because we track the customer's usage and NPS and all of that bit. We already have that data. We can do all the analytics and figure that out. Versus in a services company, we are highly dependent on the customer to share that data with us. Because especially in the sales cycle, the customers, again, we're dealing with B2B, right? So they've done some analysis on their own to figure out that this is a problem that needs solving. And they are measuring themselves. I mean, at the end of the year, they're going to kind of sit down together with their leadership and say, hey, was this tool useful or not, right? And in the services side, more that data is going to sit with the customer. We need to kind of figure out ways of getting that data so that we can make sense of it and try to figure out ways of aligning ourselves with that. Versus, again, I've purely worked more with product companies, and that's one of the core differences that I've seen.
See, services industry is mostly again in a very simplistic term, it's like a project management, project delivery, right? So the three pillars of project management will still apply. So did you deliver the project in scope, on time, with the cost that was agreed and the quality, right? So a CS team's KPIs will be exactly that, because in services industry that is your value. Are you delivering on time with high quality under the cost which we agreed, and so that's the KPI for the CS team. That probably should be the focus. Whereas in a product company, obviously it's your product is the value, whereas here it's your services package. Are you delivering with quality and in time and all that? So hope that. Okay. So essentially you're talking about an organization which is catering to SMB, which is self-serve, as well as large enterprises where there is a services component involved. Okay, understood. So your question is, what should be the sort of KPIs for the teams, right? So obviously self-serve it's just a product, so your product has to add value and all of that. In case of enterprise where you have a heavy services component, then again time to value. I think time to value becomes the biggest sort of KPI, right? Because product is irrelevant until you go live, right? So they can't even put their hands on the product. So how fast can you enable the customer to start using the product becomes a key metric, right? So that plus the product metric becomes your KPI for the CS team. That. Mm-hmm. So good question. So I think depends on the product, right? If your product is sort of self-explanatory, let's say your product is Calendly, right? So everybody knows the use case. There is no need for training the customer to get the aha moment within 5 minutes, right? They can see for themselves. But if you are selling a complex supply chain software, then maybe you have to give assisted free trial, what we call, right? You have to have your CSM involved in those 14 days of free trial to sort of connect the customer's pain point to the right place in the product, so they see aha moment quite quickly even during those free trial. Otherwise they may get lost, right? So assisted free trial is what sometimes usually works well.
So I would actually also argue saying that in such a case, right, where you're offering a product and services, I would assume the services division is there to enable the product to do a better job, right? Am I right in that assumption? Is that kind of the use case you're talking about? Good. I think in services, one thing I've noticed is it's very, I think speed or time to value and time to value on onboarding, and generally speed is what customers love, right? Be it, for example, let's say you're selling a very highly customizable product, and at the same time you have kind of your larger customers asking you for custom features, right? Which is a services division that you're building out on demand. It's the speed at which your services team builds out those and delivers those products, right? Like, and one level below that is speed at which you give them updates. Like, are you keeping them posted on? Again, there can be features that take months to build out, right? Are you keeping the customer informed throughout that journey? And it's very honestly, I believe it's all about, and especially in today's world where everybody is aligning with time is the one thing that we do not have. I think speed is what sells today. Does that make sense?
Just to add to that, actually, I think you will have to iterate. Because there will be different versions, just like there are different, you can say, iterations of product that evolve, your services component will also start evolving. Okay, so you will start with like I said, hourly pack, then you will say that, oh no, there is a fixed, time SOW, and then you'll deliver. Then, that also you start getting feedback telling that, hey, is the customer happy? As a CSM, you should get gauge telling that, hey, when we deliver this service, are they getting value? Are they happy? And so on, right? Or is it a managed services wherein you say they don't forget about software, forget about thing, give me the outcome, we will do all the management. This is the thing, just like your report, At the end of the month, you will get this report. How you get the report, what tools we use, doesn't matter. Everything is managed by us, right? So what is that? I think you need to evolve. And then once you hit the fit, I guess, you can just probably, that SKU is more push to the sales team, telling that, hey, this is what we have in our offering.
Thanks, Manu. I think we are almost out of time. I think we are, in fact, 15 minutes overboard. But I think we have one last question from there. We'll take that question and wrap up this panel. Consider this use case. There's something incredibly valuable on the company side, and from a founder's perspective, you come up with a feature that just automates it end to end, and to pitch it, for lack of better word, to the customer service team is like there's a lot of education involved. So just wanted to understand how you would go about maximizing value realization on your customer's part in this particular use case.
Okay. So anything you want to maximize, first you should start measuring, right? So the first step will be to measure. As I mentioned, right from the sales cycle, today the value is stuck in a SOW document where you have 10 use cases you have sold. So first thing, we'll have to make it a structured data somewhere, right? And then start to measure that and track that with what you do during implementation cycle. So are there any product dependencies? Are there any new feature requests that the use case requires you to implement? Then you take it to the product team, get it prioritized. So tracking all of that in an intelligent way will become important. Then all your implementation steps you are doing, you are probably doing this in some Excel sheet or Asana or Monday, whatever, right? Those need to start talking to or track this in an intelligent way. So essentially what I'm saying is that your SOW document, your Jira and your Asana, none of them talk to each other today, right? That is the problem. So if you can, in an intelligent way, make all of this data structured and let them talk to each other, that is when you are actually tracking value delivery. My use case that I sold, is it done or not done? If it is not done, why is it not done? Is it not done because the product team has not released a feature? Is it not done because the task is not done? Is it not done because the configuration is not done? Why? What's blocking the use case, right? That measurement, if you start doing, then you have done the first step, right? Then you can talk about maximizing or minimizing. That's a different thing you can do later, but that's the first step, right? Once you're measuring it, half the problem is solved, right? Then we can do dashboarding and trends analysis and all of that, right? So hope that answers your question. I know we have, we're out of time.
Yeah, I think already 15 minutes past. I see one more person.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple more lined up. We'll call it a day for this panel. Thank you, Rupesh. Thank you, Mano, Keshav, and Rajat. Thank you for being a great panel. Thank you, audience. And Shankar, if you'd like to take over.